Back. Oh, okay. Hey guys. Hey everybody. This is starting early because I hit a button by accident when I was trying to type something on my computer. So here we go. We're starting about 8 minutes early. So for those of you who are waiting for the 12:15, you're going to catch this as it's going. Anyway, I'll probably go a little bit longer because of that. Anyway, thank you all for being here once you get here. My name is Pam Palanza, and I'm a parenting mentor focusing on common sense behavior management for parents of neurotypical children aged 2 to 12. Now, I was at a retreat this weekend, and somebody asked me, "What is it that you do?" And I said, "I'm a parenting mentor about common sense behavior management." They kind of looked at me funny. And then she goes, "Oh, I get it." And I think this is a great way of explaining what it is I do because people go, "What do you mean by common sense?" Okay, here we go. She said, "All right, here's the pendulum on this side. This is how like I was raised and you were raised, where people thought it was like a little strict. And then it went clear to the other end of this pendulum. And this is where people are like permissive or doing gentle parenting inappropriately. And it's caused a lot of problems in our schools and in society. But you're like here, you're right in the middle of these." And I was like, exactly, exactly. That's how I describe what I do. I'm right in the middle of these parenting styles. Okay. So when you do get in here, hop on, say hello, tell me where you're from. I love to see where everybody's from because I have followers all over the world and in all different time zones. And so it's really cool to see who's tuning in. So, welcome to everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. All right, we're going to talk about stop it. Do you hear yourself saying that ever during the day? Do you hear yourself saying it a lot of times during the day? Possibly. Okay. I know I did. I said stop it to my kids when they were little, some, not a lot. I had a background in early childhood education, so it was fortunate when I became a parent. I had some knowledge and skill sets that helped me manage behaviors more effectively, but not everybody has that background. And so, you're not born with a child and then handed a manual that goes, here's exactly what you do and say and how you raise them. That's not the way it works, right? So we learn as we go. So certainly I enhanced my skills as my kids got older and as I kept having children. So that's why I can sit here and tell you ways that are more effective because I've learned from my own experience. I've also worked in early childhood for 40 years and I've worked with lots and lots and lots of parents. So I'm passing this on to you. You take it with a grain of salt. It might resonate with you. It might be something you're like, hey, I can do this. Hey, for those of you just jumping in, I hit the wrong button and got on early, so I apologize. But anyway, we're here, so we're proceeding. But everything may not work for you. So take it with a grain of salt, like I said. Try to use it and adapt it into your behavior management plan with your children. If it works for you, awesome. If it doesn't, find something else that does. Change the negative behavior into something that's more positive and more effective for your children and for your family. Okay, so let's start off by saying hello to those of you who are coming in. I just talked about in the beginning here that jump in, say hello, tell me where you're from, and put yes or no in the comment section if you say stop it to your children or you did in the past. And there's no judgment here because we're talking about ways to change that. So I'm just curious. I know parents do it a lot because you know why it's easy? It's easy to go, stop it, stop it, stop it. And sometimes you just have to, like it's a safety thing, or you're driving and you can't just stop what you're doing to, deal with the argument taking place back in the back seat. Although there are things you can do. We're not going to talk about that in this Facebook Live, but it's easy. It's just easy to do. Now, for those of you who follow me, you know about discipline, right? So here talking hits through the pendulum again. Discipline, punishment. I'm here. There's no middle ground for me. I'm here. All right, so punishment, this discipline is teaching, training, guiding, showing children how they need to behave. Punishment is stopping the negative behaviors by inflicting pain, yelling, spanking, hitting, humiliating, shaming. I've had people always say parents threw things at them, hit them with belts, hit them with switches. For those of you who are not from the South, that's like a part of a tree, like a limb, or that they strip everything off and hit the kids with it. Okay, so I'm not about this end of the pendulum here. I'm at this, no, I'm backwards. I'm at the discipline end of the pendulum, not the punishment end of the pendulum. Okay, there's no middle ground for me. It's this. Okay, so that's teaching, guiding, training, showing them what to do. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Like what you can do instead of saying, stop it. And you're going to see the reason why that helps you and helps your behavior management and your life be a little bit calmer. But also, stay tuned to the end. I'm going to put a link to some downloads. I have some free downloads for you. I'll explain those at the end. And if you are one of my paid subscribers, look in the hub tomorrow because you will have more content that is just exclusive to my paid subscribers. Let me just do a little commercial here. If you're interested in being a subscriber, it's $4.99 a month and you get lots of extra content videos. Just go to one of my reels and you'll see the link to hit that and join. And it's you don't have to do it every month if you don't want to. You can stop at any time. So anyway, it's pretty cool. All right, so let's talk about why it doesn't work. Number one, it's too vague. When you say to your kids, stop it, stop it. You're stopping the behavior, but you're not telling them what to do instead. Okay, and sometimes they don't know what to do instead. They need guidance. So by you just saying stop it, they might stop for a minute, but I guarantee you they're going to go right back to it. Okay, because you're in there yelling, stop it. And they're like, okay. And then you walk away and they start right back up again because you've not redirected them. All this is, and I'm going to talk to you about today, is redirecting in a very positive way. Because I've talked about redirection, distraction, all that good stuff. This is redirection. Okay, it's negative. When you say to kids, stop it, they push back a little harder, right? Because they're like, they want to argue with you about it. You go, stop it. And right away they go, well, I didn't start it. He started it. She hit me first. And then this whole conversation takes place. That's such a waste of time and energy. If you give them a positive direction, redirect them, guide them, teach them, train them, this all goes away, right? And it's habit forming. If you are constantly saying, stop it, stop it, stop it to your children, they stop hearing you. They tune you out. And then you get more frustrated and then you start yelling. That's typically the cycle of how the yelling begins because you tell them to stop it and then you don't do anything else to replace that. And so they start it again and then you get more frustrated and here we go. You know how it works, right? So we want to avoid all of that and make your life more peaceful. Okay, so here's what happens too. You go, stop it. And they go, stop what? I wasn't doing anything. You're like, yeah, you were. I saw it with my own two eyes. It wasn't me. They did it, right? And then here we go again. We're going to stop all that. So what I'm going to do today is give you some phrases that are negative instead of saying stop it, how you can replace that with positive. And I want you to remember this. Instead of stop it, I want you to swap it. Okay, so you're stopping. Instead of saying that negative behavior, you're stopping saying that negative statement, the stop it, and you're swapping it for a redirection. Does that make sense? Okay, here we go. When they're fighting, say they're hitting, you can say, instead of saying stop it, you say, you need to use your gentle hands, please. Now, let me just say, don't even waste your energy on a 2-year-old on that or 2.5-year-old over their head. They could care less. They don't even know what gentle hands are. You might just have to pick them up and move them in that case. But with older kids, you can say, you need to use your gentle hands. Or you can say, use your words to tell them what you need. Please use your words. And sometimes they need to know. Literally, I remember, and I've shared this before, I had a family childcare home. I had 12 3 to 5-year-olds. And I remember a little girl came up to me and she said, Chris hit me. And I said, okay. Looked at her. And she said, well, tell him to stop it. I said, we didn't hit me, he hit you. You tell him to stop it. She said, I don't know what to say. She didn't know the words. And I said, go over and tell him he needs to keep his hands to himself, please. And off she went and she did it, right? So that's another thing you can say to your kids. You need to keep your hands to yourself. That's a positive. You're telling them exactly what you want them to do. And then you follow up on it. Now, you don't just walk away, go, okay, keep your hands to yourself, or tell them to keep their hands to themselves, and you walk away and they start hitting again. You have to make sure you're managing that behavior. Part of parenting is managing behavior. That is a big part of your life from the time they're born until the time they go out of your house. Let me just tell you. And then even sometimes after that. Okay, when they're running inside, well, of course, instead of saying stop it, you can say we walk inside. Or you can say you can run outside, you can jump outside. So give them alternatives. All right. When a child is yelling, of course, you don't want to yell back, and that's what happens. I hear parents go, "Stop yelling." But you just yelled, and you want them to not yell. That doesn't make any sense. Or that's what parents go, "Stop hitting," and they spank the child. "Stop hitting, we don't hit." But you just hit the kid. So what are they learning from you, right? So we want to teach them what to do. So instead of yelling, you can say, "You need to use your inside voice, please." Or when we're in this house, we speak with respect. So you have choices, just make it positive. Okay, when a child is grabbing, they're grabbing a toy from somebody, you can say, "You need to ask first before taking." That's all. Please ask before you take. Always use your manners because we want to model for children what they need to do. Please, thank you, excuse me, may I? All that good stuff. When kids are bouncing off the walls, you know the days when it's raining or they've been caged up all day and they're just squirrely. I call it being squirrely. You can say, "You need to take that outside. Just redirect." Or if you can't go outside because it's raining, give them an activity to do. Put something down on the table. I mean, literally, I've done this with my grandchildren. Take an acrylic paint and I just pour it on my dining room table, no paper under it, and I just let them finger paint in it and make a mess. Because guess what? It all wipes off. But it redirects them to doing something positive. Okay. If your child interrupts, we've talked about this before. If your child interrupts, you can teach them, well, a couple of things you can do. One, you can say, "Please say excuse me," and then I'll listen, right? Or if you're having a conversation with an adult and you don't want to be interrupted every time by a child, you teach them to come up with their arm on your shoulder or your arm, their hand, and then you touch it to let them know that you know what they're trying to signal to you. Okay, so that's another way without having to say anything, because don't we all know as parents, the minute you start talking to somebody else or the phone rings, all of a sudden they're like, they need your attention. Instantly, they need you. "Mommy, mommy, 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 daddy, 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 daddy." You were there for an hour and nobody bothered you, but the minute that phone rang, it was like a signal for them to come over, like, I don't know, heat-seeking missile, and they come in and want you to give them attention all of a sudden. So those are just some of the ways that you can teach your children what you want them to do instead of saying stop it, because common sense parenting, again, is discipline. It's a very positive thing. Even consequences are positive. We talked about this, I think, last week, and I've talked about it before. Consequences are not punishment. So you're disciplining, guiding, teaching, training. So then the next time they know what to do. Instead of you having to pop back in again and go, "Stop it, stop it, stop it." Okay. So here's what I want you to do. A little homework for you. And then I'm going to look at some of the questions here and comments, but think about one or two things that your children do that you hear yourself saying, "Stop it." Okay? And there's no judgment here. I've said stop it. Sometimes I still say to my grandchildren, I just go, "Stop it." But I usually say, "Can it." That's just my way of like, I've had enough, can it. And they know what that means, or I just put my hand up like this. But think of one or two and write those down. And then think of something else you can say instead that's positive, that's redirecting, that's giving them guidance, that's teaching them. Okay? And I know I'm talking with my hands a lot. Believe it or not, when I was in 4th grade, I had to go to speech therapy classes because I talked too fast and I talked with my hands. And so the therapist made me put my hands behind my back like this and speak slowly. I don't think it worked very well. Anyway, I'm still waiting. And I'm not Italian. So people go, "Are you Italian?" I'm married to an Italian, but I am not Italian. Okay. Anyway, try that. So remember, instead of stop it, you're going to swap it for something positive. You're going to redirect in a positive way. Tell them exactly what you want them to do. Teach them differently. All right. So those words matter. I do a whole workshop. I did for years for childcare providers on positive ways to speak to young children. Words matter. Words have power. And you need to use those wisely and effectively to help you with your behavior management. Now, I'm going to give you these 2 tip sheets, and I'm going to show them to you. And let me tell you, this is how long I've been doing this. I've been in childcare for 40 years. This one tip sheet is from 2000. April of 2000. It's called Band-Aids. Let me see if you can get this. Now, ignore the bottom because that is not my phone number. Don't try calling it. But I have another company called Creative Childcare Solutions. That's my parent company, where I spent 20 years working in the childcare, or 40 years working in the childcare industry, 20 of that training and coaching and all that good stuff, consulting. So I did the tip sheets all the time for teachers. So, and I also taught workshops. So this one is called Band-Aids. And what it was, when I was in classrooms doing assessments to get, in North Carolina, I did this to get them ready for the state assessments. And I was doing quality enhancement and teaching and training consulting. I would listen to what teachers were saying to children and I would write it down. And then in this workshop, I would write some of these things down and say, these are things I actually heard. How could you say these more effectively? So some of these, you can download this tip sheet. These are free. Some of these are going to apply for your family, some are not. But I'm just going to tell you some of the things I heard. I literally heard a teacher say to a 2-year-old, get over here, you little terrorist. Now, that might not apply for your household, so you might not want to play with that one. You're so stinky while changing a child's diaper. I'm sorry, this is funny, but it's not. Teacher had gritted teeth, and she's saying to this little girl, you better not bite me, girl. I could write books and books and books of things that I heard. Anyway, the point of all this is, from this sheet, take the statement over here that might be negative, the ones that you think apply, and try to change those to something positive. And it take a few minutes, but it's just a way to get you to start thinking of like, wait a minute, if I hear this, or if I say this to my children, how can I change that up? Okay, so that literally is from 25 years ago. That's how long I've been doing this. This is a soapbox for me, being positive with children. This one is a tip sheet that I created for teachers, and it was from 2003, again, 22 years old. But it's talking about positive communication and speaking to children with respect, which a lot of what I'm talking about today is about. Instead of you saying, stop it, and yelling at them, you are positively speaking to them, showing them respect, teaching them what you want them to do and how they can be respectful. Okay? So to do that, I'm going to go in here. This is very simple. It is right, if you go to my website, let me see, I got that in, okay. If you go to my website, at the very top of the page, wait a minute, back. Okay. Go to my website. At the very top of the page, you're going to see an announcement bar and the links right there for these 2 free sheets. Download these, play with them, and play with the Band-Aids one, kind of, it just jolts you to stop and go, oh, when I'm saying this, how could I say this differently? Cross out the ones that don't make sense to you. But I just wanted to give you some tools to help you start processing this a little bit and working it into your behavior management. Now, again, if you're a subscriber, tomorrow look in the hub. There'll be much more content there for you. And let me go and look at the comments. See what we've got here. And make sure that popped up. Okay, good. So it did come up the website. Let me think. Hang on a minute. I want to make sure that you got it. It's just PamelaPalanza.com. This is not hard. But yeah, you should be able to find. Oh, there it is. Okay, it's down at the bottom of what I'm seeing. Okay, Susan just said, how do we get these? I just put the link in, PamelaPalanza.com, and you will see it right across the announcement bar. Click on it, boom, they download instantly. Okay, play with them. All right, let's see what we've got here. Okay, I'm just going to see if anyone has any specific questions. We have people from Indiana, Lehigh, Sharika, Washington State. Awesome. Germany. Hello. Hey, my family name, like my maiden name, back, was a Wollenschlager. So there's some German ancestry here. Yes, I am from Pittsburgh. I see Shishi, I think you said, I'm from Pittsburgh. You said you're great from Pittsburgh. You're from Pittsburgh. That's where I was born and raised, girl. Born and raised. Okay. All right. So cool. Just trying to see, I don't want to keep you all too long, but we do have a few minutes left because I started early by accident. I'm not technologically real savvy, guys. I know enough to be dangerous. Hello from Lebanon. Good. Awesome. Okay. Oklahoma, Nigeria. See, I love this. People from all over the world. Johnsonburg, PA. Awesome. Kansas, Wisconsin, Texas. And let's see. Okay, how do we get these? All right, you got it, Susan. All right, so check them out. Again, they're old, but literally there are a couple things that I feel very, very strongly about when I was doing workshops for early care educators for over 20 years. I even traveled the country for a while doing workshops. I feel very strongly that discipline should be positive and that you should speak to children in a very positive, respectful way. And sometimes, as a parent, you lose it. Some days you just have had enough. I get it. I've been there. I've walked that way. But when I come and teach you these things, it's because these are things that I know from just working in early childhood forever, and because I learned as a parent, right? Some things I did, I was like, no, that didn't sound so great. I need to change that up. And so I learned and I improved my skills. And so I'm sitting here trying to share this with you all who maybe have not had that skill base or knowledge base and need some extra guidance. But like I said, take it or leave it. It's up to you. I'm very neutral here, right? I don't say this is what you absolutely have to do. I say, here's a tool, take it, use it, see if it works. And for those of you who have followed me for a while, I talk about parenting tool belts. It's like a toolkit you need, that you have all these different tools, at your hands that you can grab as you need them. This is just one more of them, okay? All right, y'all. Thank y'all for being here. And by the way, let me just say, if you have any ideas for any Facebook Lives, a topic for Facebook Lives, feel free to shoot those in this comment section if there's a specific topic you'd love for me to talk about. Oh, here we go. Barbara, girl, you are quick. Let's talk about bedtime routine for 2 and 5-year-olds in parents' bed. Oh, yeah. You know what? That's like such a common thing. People do it all the time. Okay, then, Andre, let's see. What to do when it works at home, but grandma or the teachers don't use kindness to address issues. Oh, yeah. Let me just, I know we're going over a little bit here, but you brought up a good thought. So I feel so strongly about this that I volunteered in all of my children's schools when they were in elementary school. And I was there a lot, frequently. And I'll share 2 incidents with you. I was walking down the hall one day and I heard, my son was in a math class, it was like 3rd grade. And I heard this teacher yell at this child because they got the answer wrong. She's like, what's 32 plus, 25? And they gave a wrong answer. And she goes, no, it isn't. And I stopped dead in the hallway, turned around, went to the principal's office. And I told him, I was like, look, this is inappropriate. Her screaming at 3rd graders over getting a wrong answer. And this was an older teacher. I think she was probably ready to retire and had enough. We get to that point. I think she was a great teacher. But that's very inappropriate. And so right away he starts making excuses. I was like, I'm sorry. That's not how you speak to children. They need to be spoken to in a respectful way, right? You teachers expect respect. They need to respect the children in return. And then one time at my youngest daughter's school, I volunteered so much kids thought I worked there. They thought I was the principal. It was so funny. But I was in her classroom, and I shared this story before, but I was in her 4th grade classroom, and I volunteered, and I was in the back of the room, and I volunteered once a week at a certain time to help the teacher out with stuff in folders or just stuff, little things that needed done that consumed her time that she could be using more effectively elsewhere. And hang on, it's saying I'm getting a message here. Okay. And so she just, one day, I'm with my head down, and I'm working away doing stuff, and she just went off on this kid. I mean, screaming at him, totally forgetting I was there. And I looked up and she instantly stopped. But I had hit record on my phone because, and I'm not suggesting we record teachers and report them. This was so appalling to me. My daughter was not in the classroom at that time. She went to the whatever they call AIG, so she was out of the classroom. I literally stopped in my tracks, and I went like this, and I put my head up, and she saw me, and she stopped right away and changed her tone like, whoop, like that. And I went to the principal's office later because I had a good relationship with them, and I said, listen, you guys need to hear this. And I don't make a habit of doing this, and I never did it again and never done it before, but you need to hear this. Right away, the excuses started. Well, I said, I'm sorry. This is the 4th grader. That's not how a teacher needs to be screaming at a child. You can hear it down the hallways. That's inappropriate behavior. I think you all need to do some training for your staff about how they need to speak respectfully to children. I don't want to hear excuses about it. I know people have bad days, right? I know it. I get it. We all have as parents. But when you're in a position of authority and you have young children and you are screaming at them, and I've heard it in childcare classrooms. I'm not saying it's just in elementary schools. It is in childcare classrooms too. That's why I feel so strongly about it. Nobody deserves to be treated that way. And if you, as a caregiver, as a teacher, are losing it, then you need to look at what you need to do to take care of yourself so that you're not in that position. Or teach yourself, get training on skills so that you don't get yourself to that point. Because it's not good for you and it's not good for the children, your children or children in your care. It just isn't. Okay, I'm stepping down off my soapbox. All righty. I'm going to see if there's any more ideas. A strong-willed child who is a negotiator. That's a good one because they all are negotiators. But when they're really strong-willed, it's a little bit harder. That would intimidate kids. Yes, Susan, it is. It intimidated kids to answer questions. You're right, because if they're getting screamed at and told they're wrong in front of the whole class, how humiliating and embarrassing is that to a child at that age? To any child, I don't care how old you are, even to an adult, that would be embarrassing. That's why I feel strongly about it, and I'm not going to keep my mouth shut about it. I'm going to go and address the issue with their supervisors, and I did it in both times. In fact, one time, here's another one, last one, I promise you. My daughter was supposed, I pick her up from school, but for some reason, she thought she was supposed to get on a bus and go with her friend or something, and I was frantically looking for her, so I ran to the back of the school, and I got on the one bus to see if she was on it, and I heard the bus driver leaning over this kid and gritting her teeth at him and yelling, and she goes, "You suck your teeth at me one more time, boy." And I was like, whoop, backed up off the bus. My daughter wasn't on that bus, thank goodness. Went straight to the principal, told her what happened. Of course, here's the excuses. They happened every time. Well, that kid's a little bit of a challenge and had that bus driver. I'm sorry, what are you doing to address that? What are you doing to help that bus driver? What are you doing to deal with that kid's behavior? Are you talking to parents? Are you dealing with it with the school? With the bus driver? What are you doing? Instead of making excuses for why it's okay for this woman to tower over a young child and scream in his face. It's not okay. It's not. Okay, I'm off. Done. And I'm a mama bear. I'm a big mama bear. I'm a grizzly. Okay. Andre just said, Andre said, just try not to be a mama bear, but I was a mama bear. I'm telling you. I think every mama is a mama bear. Like, I'm laid back. I'm chill. You mess with my children and you better run. That's all I have to say. All right, guys. Love y'all. Talk to you next week. And remember, hug and love your babies. And go hit that on my website and download your tip sheets. Be good.